I'd like to share a few thoughts on two chapters of scripture, Genesis chapter 10 and Genesis chapter 11. I'm going to speak quite quickly because there's a lot to cover, and 10 minutes is not a long time, nor does 100 meg contain a lot of information really. There are a lot of things described in the two chapters, but the things described in the two chapters have had a profound effect on the world, so they deserve mention. We know that, to summarise the two chapters, that the whole world was gathered in one place, the whole world spoke one language, and the whole world was under the control of one man. Who was the man? The man was Nimrod. What was the place? The place was Shinar. We don't know what the language was. Some say Hebrew. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the language was. The scriptures doesn't specify. We know that God came down, as described in chapter 11, and confused that language so that the building of the tower ceased. And we know that the people then scattered, segregated by language, to the corners of the globe. Now, Genesis chapter 10 gives you a list of Noah's sons and their sons and their sons' sons, and it really only mentions people by name until it gets to verse 8, and it says, "And Cush begat Nimrod, he began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord, wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord." It then goes on to describe that he built certain cities in the land of Shinar. So Nimrod is described as being the main man in Shinar. Chapter 11 describes that the whole world, the population of the world, was in the place called Shinar. So Nimrod was basically the head of this world order, and he is given great emphasis is placed upon Nimrod and his actions in Genesis chapter 10, and that's the reason why he, throughout history, is the only man who was king of the earth. Now, we here have mentioned the old world order, and we're pretty soon, or the new world order should I say, isn't too far away, and there'll be one man who will be the head of that world order. But that's another subject. Maybe we can touch on it in a little while, but let's focus on the subject at hand. Nimrod, what did he do? He instigated the building of the tower. God came down, confused the languages, so the tower building ceased, and the people went, segregated by languages, to the different corners of the earth. Now we know that that happened around, I would say, 2500 BC approximately. A lot of what I'm going to say is found in this book called The Two Babylons. I would recommend all those who are interested in finding out the origins of certain pagan customs that have been Christianized, such as Christmas, Easter, Lent, Lady Day, and so on and so forth. The Two Babylons in PDF. So Nimrod set up this old world order. They built a tower in rebellion to God. God separated them by languages, and they went to the four corners of the earth. Now, amazingly, around the same time as this happened, you had many great civilizations rising up in the four corners of the globe. We've already established building techniques. We see pyramids in the Far East, in the Americas, in Europe, and also in Africa. And I don't need to go into detail about that because they're there. We know they are because some of them are still standing today. The technology to build these monuments originated in the land of Shinar, instigated by the master builder Nimrod. Now Nimrod, not only did he not only could he be credited with the founding of these advanced building techniques, he also can be credited with the creation of a false religious system that's in direct opposition to the true worship of God. He, along with his wife Semiramis, took the position of god and goddess. He eventually was slain because of his rebellion against God, and when he died, his believers taught that he had ascended to the sun and took control of the sun, and that's where the origin of sun worship originates. Baal or Baal is another name for Nimrod. Now his wife was left on earth, Semiramis, and she conceived a child. She claimed that the spirit of Nimrod came down from the sun and impregnated her. She had a child born on the 25th of December. The child's name was Tammuz. There are many names around the world for Tammuz, Nimrod and Semiramis. So a false trinity was set up in the land of Shinar, Tammuz, Semiramis and Nimrod. And around the world, if you check out the different religious systems, all of them, if not all of them, most of them have got this false trinity in position. The father, Nimrod, the mother, Semiramis, and the child, Tammuz. And there are different names all around the world in the different cultures for these three deities. So around the world there are representatives in each religion of these three individuals, Tammuz, Semiramis and also Nimrod. Where does that religious system have a foothold today? Where is it most prominent in the world today? Which religious system best reflects that Babylonian system set up all those years ago? Now, just to get you to where I want you to be, I've got to go back in history again. Babylon was mentioned in Genesis 10 as the most prominent city in Nimrod's kingdom. Babylon existed from that time until the time of Daniel, and the Babylonian Empire was in control at the time of Daniel. Now, the Babylonians were conquered by the Medo-Persians. When the Medo-Persians conquered Babylon, politically, the Babylonian system was abolished. The religious system remained and was just Persianized. When the Greeks conquered the Persians in 331 BC, they basically adopted the same religious system and changed the names of the Persian gods that were really Babylonian gods into Greek names such as Zeus, Hercules, etc., etc. When the Romans subdued the Greeks in 168 BC, they Romanized the Greek religion. Now the Romans held sway in the world for hundreds of years until 476 AD, when they were basically conquered from within by barbarian tribes. Eventually the Roman Empire adopted Christianity. Paganism, or pagan Rome, became papal Rome. Now unfortunately the customs and gods of the pagan Roman Empire were Christianized, and names were changed from pagan to Christian. The god, for example, Jupiter, became Peter, etc., etc. And that religious system has been perpetuated until our time, and the head of that religious system is the Pope. Now, the papacy's religious system, or the religious system endorsed by the papacy, can trace its roots back to Babylon. That's why this book's called The Two Babylons. It's basically teaching about the origins of Catholicism. The origins of Catholicism can be traced back to Babylon. Now, how do we bring all of the things that we've said together? Nimrod was the head of the old world order. He was the head of an old religious system that basically the whole world wondered after. In the last days, the Bible teaches quite plainly that there will be a new world order, and at the head of that new world order will be a man. The man who will be at the head of that new world order is described in Revelation 13 and also Revelation 17. Do a bit of study, do a bit of research, and you'll find that the man described in Revelations 13 and 17 is none other than the Bishop of Rome. Hopefully what I've said has stimulated thought. I've only scratched the surface, so there is a lot more that can be said, and there are many people out there who maybe know more than me, so I'll welcome all comments and questions. Until then, God bless you all, and pray for me as I pray for you.